business partner Malcolm while we were there. I said, yo, look at his legs. He said, yeah. He said, yeah. I said, they're thick. They're in shape. They look very strong.
Having left the training camp of pound-for-pound star Terence Crawford, Shawn Porter has one thing to say. Terence is looking sharper than ever.
And again, that speaks to the magnitude of this fight. They are matching and mirroring one another in a lot of ways. For me,
getting great sparring,
yeah,
hitting in the mountains, yeah, you're right.
For me, the biggest thing,
Porter opines that Crawford is not fluff training. He is training to win, and he is doing it with a degree of acumen, precision, and calmness that spells something unique. The way he carries himself, the physical form he is and the ferocity of each workout attest to a fighter who is sharpening every weapon for the biggest stage.
Yeah, which is something that Crawford said was, you know, who else is there? There's nobody else at my level. And they're mirroring in that respect. Everybody wanted to see Canelo in the ring with
El Monstro.
with Benavidez, but respectfully, Benavidez does not have that
all-time standing.
Yeah, whereas Crawford does, and that's why we get this fight. Also, why I think we get a brilliant match.
Terence Crawford's training camp became a focal point for discussion as soon as it began, largely because of what he was putting into his body. Under the guidance of his coaching team, Brian McIntyre, Esau Dieguez, and Jamie Belt, Crawford immersed himself in a holistic program that prioritized technique, strategy, strength, and stamina. Alternating bouts of sparring with high-altitude training in Colorado also helped him stay fresh, along with recovery-based training such as interval training and swimming kept him well-rounded. Terence Crawford has not been one to back down when it comes to taking apart an opponent, and in the lead-up to his mega fight against Canelo Alvar, the American has honed in on the left hook that is synonymous with the Mexican superstar.
There you go. No, I'm saying boom. So then when you extend it, boom. This is protecting you. This is right here. You know what I mean? Because look, if I throw a hook, no, I'm saying, if I'm here, boom, and you throw a hook, I'm just gonna turn. I'm just gonna turn on my shoulder. Wait, you keep my.
Coupled with dietetically correct, nutritionally aligned diet regime, it was meant to make his significantly larger build still maintain the velocity as well as the fleet-footed nature that is his trademark. It was observed how he had cut up yet was by no means a skinny fighter, as he left fans concerned over how he would combat the size difference with Canelo. Another boxer who has fought Canelo Alvarez, John Ryder, a British-born war veteran, praised Terence Crawford in the pre-fight interview, calling him a rare talent with a high IQ in the ring who can outwit virtually anyone. Ryder acknowledged that he is attracted to fighters such as Crawford men who give it all when the bell rings and possess the minds that can easily break a big fight.
Going into that weight, you could have done with a couple more there, then moved up to 160, but it's all being done as a bit of a rush, so he's not going to be fully, he's not going to have time to put the muscle on to build into the weight, and he's obviously going to do it with the intention of getting back down to 154 and taking on other challenges, so it's not a long-term goal for him to stay there, but like I say, Terence Crawford is an exceptional talent. I remember watching him beat a good friend of mine, Ricky Burns, and it's like, since that day I was just my ears pricked up and I took notice, and every time Terence Crawford boxed.
Nonetheless, he did not hesitate about it without reservations. It is one thing to fight a powerhouse like Canelo at 168 pounds, and Ryder has warned. The lead up to the fight, he emphasized, the prep, the mental advantage, the plan will be as fundamentally decisive as the night of the fight itself.
I think it'll be a points win. I think it'll be a points. I think Canelo will win it, but not by the biggest of margins. But then if Crawford come and turn the event on his head and won on points, I wouldn't be surprised.
Ryder proceeded to give Crawford some advice on what he needs to work on to defeat the Mexican champion. He insisted that people should hold to the basics because they should not use new strategies in the battle. He mentioned that discipline, time-old tricks, and honoring one's dedication to his skills may be the key to beating Canelo.
I think you just got to watch the Bivol blueprint, the in and out. I mean, a lot of fighters getting stick now for being runners, Tom and Jerry and whatnot. But stick to what you're good at. Terence Crawford is an exceptional talent. His one title was through the weights, undisputed at, was it 3 weights now? And listen, if anyone can do it, it's him. I think the weight will be too much of an issue. Canelo is a special talent. And I think the weight will play a factor in the fight, but...
The training camp of Canelo Alvarez has been moved to the scenic Del Mar beaches of California, where he has added a dose of nature to his hard training life. Trainer Eddie Reynoso had him run up and down the beach and shadow box on gravel, and also do some very conventional drills, working cardiovascular fitness and staying mobile in the ring. Just an outdoor addition to his intensive altitude workout, strength circuits, and mitt work. A mix of natural environment and focused intensity on his vertical physique shows Canelo to create a physique that will show foot speed, power, and elite level stamina to tackle the massive fight ahead. Canelo, who is the current champion owning all 4 major belts, proceeds to protect his crown against a man who wants to be the first male boxer to be undisputed at 3 weight classes. His final encounter was in August of the previous year when he won the WBA junior middleweight. This time he is scaling up 2 whole divisions, believing in his training and his dream of glory. According to Amir Khan, the historical picture of Crawford as nothing but a slick technical operator does not express the whole truth anymore. With Canelo, a man whose success has been predicated on devastating power shots capable of ending fights, that extra weapon could close the variance in a meaningful way. A quick score by Crawford might reverse all the gears of the match.
It's a hard fight to call, honestly, because it just depends what type of fighters show up on the night. I fought both guys. When I fought them at the peak of their careers. The same Canelo gonna fight Crawford, is that gonna be the same Canelo I fought? And with Crawford, we know he turns it up anyway. I think that looking at both fighters, I think Canelo has had more harder fights going up and down the weight divisions. I think he's been in more wars than Crawford. I think Crawford is the fresher fighter who's been in less wars but had as many hard fights, but in my opinion, not as hard as Canelo. So I just feel that Crawford has this fight in the bag, because I've sparred with him even after we fought each other, And when he puts on that weight, it's like he holds that weight so well, that muscle well, and it's not like he's...
Speaking through his unique experience of encountering the two men, Khan positioned it as an encounter of opposite paths. Canelo has fought more wars and carries with him the scars of the best and has performed in several divisions. Crawford, on the other hand, comes stronger, less chafed at the miles, and still with that razor-like accuracy, can accommodate himself to increased burden without blunting his chisel.
Looks like when he walks around and he's weighing around like 170, 175, he's looking like a natural 175 guy. It's not like he's purposely looking heavy or, you know, he's looking soft. He looks built and strong.
It was Chris Algieri who added another color to the debate concerning the current shape of Canelo by stepping to the scale with his evaluation. He has alluded to the fact that the Mexican superstar was not shooting on all bores in a recent appearance. His tone held a surprise element, almost disbelief that such a fighter as Canelo can go into the ring when he is not at his sharpest.
Canelo, he didn't look as fit as he did his last fight. He looked listless. He looked like he didn't care. He didn't have the crowd behind him. And Marcus, you've been to a ton of Canelo fights. You know how that arena is. It is insane.
Algieri was more sensible later to remove some of the noise surrounding the fight. He urged supporters that no single match can make a champion, and in this case, as the two will have years of experience playing at the top level, he thinks the true answers will be answered when their different styles and game plans are put under the fire of the night of a fight. Reputations in boxing can be tarnished even as swiftly as a millisecond. The second that opening bell begins to clang, the whole world of what-ifs will be forgotten because the truth of the matter will be in the ropes.
They're going to be their peak of what they are at this point. Because again, Crawford is 38 years old. Canelo will be 35 by then. So I think they're going to be the peak for what they are at their ages. But it's easy to go, wow, what have you done for me lately? That's usually how everyone kind of sees everything. So, but I think it's good. I think it makes the fight more enticing if people are thinking, a lot of people are thinking that Crawford can win. And don't get me wrong, Crawford can absolutely win the fight. I'm not saying he can't win the fight. But in terms of, you know, how I see it, it hasn't really changed my thoughts because I know better than to just trust that last thing I saw because there's a lot of confounding factors.
Arrives in the ring as the heavier of the men by nature and with a track record of winning titles in several other divisions. His virtues lie in methodical pressure, punishing capacity within the pocket, ruthlessly successful body work, and highest timing. He is battle-hardened and to date has had to go up against and overcome the best of the best in both super welterweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight divisions. When compared with Crawford, he is a bit shorter, but he has a stocky physique and experience, which makes him very durable. Roy Jones Jr. had more weight in what he was saying, as he is not merely a spectator of life. He used his personal experience on the battlefield as he remembered the jump into the heavyweight division and the lessons he had learned in that ruthless land. It was not a training camp and not an overnight adaptation. It was the transformation that takes years of work, adaptation, and survival against the larger and stronger competition.
Bulked up to the weight. He been dealing with super middles and light heavyweights in training. If you can deal with them in training, you can deal with them in the fight, so the weight should not even be an issue.
Terence Crawford, on the other hand, is a switch hitter technician in the center of the movements, superior in space, and the one who could easily make twists between orthodox and southpaw. His reach is on a superior level, and he has an awareness of ring geometry that enables him to take advantage of openings in defensive and offensive situations. Possession of mass, which he has perhaps lost, he tries to compensate himself by dexterity. When Roy Jones Jr. was interviewed, it did not sound like a supposition, but it was like a man who had lived those scenes. He was not simply deconstructing skills, he was referring to the cudgeling mental strength, flexibility, and ring smarts that it takes to work out a fighter like Canelo. To Roy, Crawford was coming in no longer as a long-shot young contender, but as a gentleman with a legitimate opportunity to etch his name into the annals of the sport of boxing. Such a feeling of potential makes each exchange, each round, an added excitement.
I guess, you know, a lot of times peer pressure, social media, money, things like that distort the truth sometimes. You understand me? This man been around for the last 20 years, undefeated. You understand me? For the last 20 years, undefeated. If somebody wanted to prove this, that day was right there. Why didn't you fight him? He been undefeated for the last 20 years. I mean, right there. Only 3 divisions, undisputed world champ. Only. You could really put him in the talk for one of the pound for pound, one of the best ever. Because whoever did that before.
Roy had not finished. He shifted from critic to inspirer, and he put a challenge bound in faith. As a person who had stood at the top before himself, he painted the legacy of Crawford as an extension of belts and laurels, but as a personality that has the guts to walk into the toughest battles and find a solution to win. According to Roy, that is perhaps the trick to beating Canelo, and should his gut be in check, we could be in store for a night that secures Crawford as one of the greatest in the history of the sport.
A good big guy does beat a good bad guy, but a great little guy, does beat a great small guy, but a great small guy beats a good big guy. We might be talking about a great small guy here. We'll find out in this fight, but we might be talking about, which I think we already are, but I think we're not talking about a good small guy. I think we're talking about a great small guy. You understand me? So this great small guy, like you saw with me, a great small guy can do anything.
Among the most important discussions is the fact that Crawford gained some weight. In some videos and analysis, it seems the additional muscle semi-slowed his natural speed of combining, which is an issue when facing a powerful opponent like Canelo. But good fighters and analysts note that when Crawford takes control of the center of the ring, wears out his man with clean volume, keeps the fight at his tempo, he can maybe drive Canelo to some unforced errors. David Benavidez Sr. also had a colorful view of the matchup up, which he likened to a game of cat and mouse. To him, neither fighter is coming in their best, and the fighting styles may dictate the battle. He assumes that Canelo will advance, intending to unload heavy and fight finishing shots, whereas Crawford is going to use speed, angles, and movements to avoid danger.
I think it's going to be a Tom and Jerry fight, at the end of the day, Crawford has not been looking really good. We saw how he looked in his past fight. So Canelo, like I said, the reflex are not there, this power's not there, the knees are not the same. So Canelo's gonna try to knock him out, but Crawford's gonna do what he does best. He's gonna move around, try to win the rounds, touch him, and move. I think if Crawford stays, Canelo can knock him out, because Canelo's the bigger guy. I don't think Crawford's gonna come and give the fans what they want. He don't care. He's just gonna come and win.
There have been fan and pundit opinions. Some have their doubts about how Crawford's body transformation will withstand the test of time delivered in long rounds, and yet many entertain the treasured organization and boxing sense of the Mexican in Canelo. Just to add more to the analysis, renowned trainer Abel Sanchez painted a success plan with Crawford. He encouraged him to be ready mentally and physically, and also insisted that he needs to be stronger so that he can sustain Canelo's pressure in the second half of the fight. Sanchez suggested looking into Canelo's recent battles to identify areas of weakness that can be exploited, and he is of the opinion that the key to victory is a combination of strength, tactical acumen, and reading and reacting on the fly.
I would have been preparing for this fight way before the Mandrama fight. I would have had him up fighting guys, bigger guys, and doing a lot more strength and conditioning, because he's definitely going to need that. Yes, he's going to be better and faster in the first 3 or 4 rounds, because he is faster than Canelo. But once Canelo starts pounding on his arms and pounding on him, it's a big truck hitting you, man, and it's going to be difficult to stay away from him unless he does a skull fight. But I don't think he's got the legs, especially at 168 that he had at 147.
There is a conflict of styles and energy that Voldemort has, and a strong will. Canelo thundered against Crawford's precision and adaptability, which are like chess. It is not an ordinary battle. It is a checkup of the durability of who is made of, who can keep cool when the lights are up and the stakes are through the skies. Does Crawford have both the aptitude and the patience to survive more than the raw strength of Canelo? Or is that one big shot who secures the Mexican superstar? Leave your guesses. Who will leave with the win? In case you are up to even more breakdowns, insider takes, fight night analysis, unsubscribe and turn on the notifications, and hit that like button so you don't miss a second of the action.